Okay. Let's do this. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. We did a FIBA Asia Cup preview before this tournament started. Joe Delara is busy, very, very busy, so he couldn't join. So this is going to be just me for a little while, hopefully not for too long. We're at the final four stage of this tournament now. Going to do some Afro basket coming up soon. Also, didn't have time. I was away for a few days to preview the tournament, but we'll check in ahead of the Final Four because I'm going away again for a little bit. But Afro baskets had some twists and turns with South Sudan losing their first game of the tournament, but it's still group play, so they're live. In terms of the Asia Cup, though, we're down to the Final Four. It's Australia, it's Iran, it's China, and it's New Zealand. Some of the teams that we talked about having a chance of winning this tournament, actually all four of these teams were in that group. A couple of others were as well, and they lost in the quarterfinals. Lebanon, Philippines. I think we had somebody else there too. I'm not remembering right now, but we're going to share a screen here first before getting into just the Final Four preview. There will be some recollection of how we got here, so to speak. Let's say we need to sort of review, and obviously, a lot of people aren't really covering this like that, unfortunately. But let's start here. So we'll go into group play. Let's flip that over. Okay, and yes, you believe it or not, Wikipedia has probably the best information on a lot of these things. In terms of a database, because again, this is an undercovered event. All these FIBA tournaments are undercovered. But here we go. So we have from Group A, in terms of how we got here, Australia, unsurprisingly, wins the group. They've been the best team in this entire tournament. We're going to talk about them more because they're in the Final Four, to be expected. They're the defending champions. But Australia wins the group. South Korea, who we'll talk about in a sec, had a really good run. And they're 2-1. They got deeper into the tournament than I think some people may have projected. Very, very interesting. We'll look into that when we get to the knockout stage of this. I want to make this a little bit smaller here. Oh, we jumped the gun. That's Group B. Group A, Lebanon third. And then you also have Qatar, which I believe is actually pronounced Qatar, third or fourth, 0-3. Australia plus 77-point differential as well, right here at the top, which is just ridiculous. Group B, Iran wins the group. No surprise there. Japan, who I thought would perform better. And that's a team in terms of value that I thought provided real value heading into the tournament. But Japan just couldn't quite put it all together. Struggled in group play against Iran. Beat Guam and Syria, but honestly, like a weak group other than the matchup with Iran. And they couldn't quite get that one done. Iran played really, really well, and they deserve to be where they're at. We'll get into that more. Group C got real interesting. Saudi Arabia. We talked about them on the preview show. Saudi Arabia, they brought it, and they still right now have the leading scorer in this tournament in terms of points per game. I think I have those numbers, so we'll highlight that. But Muhammad Ali Abdul Rahman, who's actually from Allentown, Pennsylvania, who's Saudi Arabian, did a really good job sort of leading this team in the group stage. And beyond that, they're the hosts. They went 2-1. They had their best showing in a long, long time. Jordan, 1-2. No Ronnie Hollis Jefferson. They had Dar Tucker instead. They barely beat India, who I thought was kind of underrated coming into this tournament. In overtime in the very first game, India unfortunately couldn't get a win because they were playing three solid teams, and China is just, quietly just on one of the best runs in this tournament so far. And China is obviously a threat to win this. And beyond that, in Group D, New Zealand, Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, Philippines, and Iraq. And New Zealand is handling business. The Philippines, I thought, would probably beat Chinese Taipei in that opening matchup, and they got outplayed pretty thoroughly. They made it interesting toward the end. They outscored them in the fourth quarter, 25-22. But ultimately, here in Group D, the Philippines really kind of screwed themselves with the 1-2 showing out the gate. But aside from that, New Zealand handles business to be expected. I thought they were underrated, honestly, coming into this tournament, even though if you follow this at all, you know that New Zealand's going to bring it in the Asia Cup. Okay, into the brackets now before we get into like each team and the specific matchups. This is the knockout stage bracket. Again, 12 teams move on, but the top 4 get buys. So the top 4, each group winner gets a bye. They don't play in that very first round. They sit into the quarterfinals, and they did that. So playoffs start with Saudi Arabia versus the Philippines. You see it right here. Saudi Arabia and the Philippines, banger game, banger. One that's worth going back and watching if you have time, especially if you're from either country and what have you. Banger game between Philippines and Saudi Arabia. One of the best games of the summer so far as FIBA competitions are concerned. Now, the AmeriCup and Eurobasket are still going to happen. The AmeriCup starts on the 22nd. Eurobasket starts on the 27th. That's going to go into like deep into September, like September 14th, I believe, is going to be the championship and the bronze medal game. And as it pertains to the AmeriCup, that will actually be finished August 31st. So that won't even make September. It's a shorter tournament because only 12 teams get to compete, but it's going to have some good teams in that. Jose Alvarado, one of the NBA players playing for my Puerto Rican national team, is going to be in that. So Philippines beat Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia looked like they were going to win that game and go into the quarterfinals for the first time in a while. And Philippines, Justin Brownlee made a sick 3 toward the end of that game. Might have traveled, but made the shot. Didn't get called. Chinese Taipei houses Jordan. They have a lot to be proud of for their run in this tournament. From that standpoint, just a great performance. 3-1 going into the quarterfinals. South Korea, speaking of teams who went under the radar, what did South Korea finish in group? I just mentioned it and I've already forgotten it. I'm pretty sure they were 2-1. Yeah, because they beat Lebanon, which was surprising. That was an upset. That was one of the bigger upsets. You see here, South Korea beating Lebanon 97-86 in group play. South Korea comes out. South Korea and Chinese Taipei are probably 2 of the more surprising runs for some people. It's a little different because not every team sends their best. There are guys missing, and also it's a tournament. It's a knockout style tournament. It's not a best of 7. This is why I tell people these FIBA competitions and the World Cup, the Continental Cups, the Olympics, they're closer to March Madness, and they literally are March Madness when you get to this point of the tournament versus an NBA playoff or any league playoff where it's best 3 out of 5, best of 7, and you're more likely to get upsets when it's sudden death, obviously. So South Korea houses Guam, though. That wasn't too much of a surprise, all due respect. And then Japan, Lebanon beats the shit out of Japan in this game. Like just takes them out. I was watching that game. Felt like Japan just didn't really bring it. Got outplayed. Lebanon was hitting a ton of shots. And sometimes, especially in this era of basketball, in these tournaments, you could just get hot over the course of the game, and that's it. That was bad. There we go. It was a bad snap by me. So Lebanon moves on, beats Japan. Quarterfinals. Now, this is what played out over the last 2 days. Tuesday. Well, Eastern Standard Time, at least. Australia, Philippines. Australia beats up on the Philippines. That wasn't too much of a surprise. If you're the Philippines, that's what you wanted to avoid. This is why I thought if you're the Philippines, going 2-1 is important, because otherwise you would have wound up on this side of the bracket. Now, the alternative wouldn't have been great either, to be clear, but better than facing Australia. You don't want to face Australia in the quarterfinals. They're really, really good, even though they're not sending their A-level squad. They have a lot of depth. They have guys on the team who are going to be future stars in their respective leagues, so on and so forth. You have Iran versus Chinese Taipei. So this is where the madness sort of starts for the quarterfinals. Iran is down by more than 20 points. Comes back and beats Chinese Taipei. Iran is facing Australia now in the semifinals. Saturday. China beats South Korea. No surprise there. South Korea makes a run in that game. I want to say, It was still competitive late. You see a fourth quarter deficit there, just 1 point. Um, and overall, like China just plays a better game. They get outscored in the second half, but too little, too late. New Zealand, Lebanon. Lebanon's beating New Zealand in the first quarter, and even in the second quarter, 20 plus points, over 20 points. It was like a 21 or 23-point deficit, something along those lines. And New Zealand comes back, straight madness, dunking on Lebanon toward the end of the game too. And you could really feel like the tide just turning. Lebanon had a lead late, 5 minutes or so left. New Zealand comes back and wins. Tremendous, tremendous game. Both bangers. So now here's where we're at. Australia versus Iran, China versus New Zealand. Both games are going to be Saturday. And then the finals are going to be Sunday, August 17th. The bronze medal game will be between the two losers of the semifinals, and the gold medal game will obviously be between the two winners. Australia beat Lebanon in the finals. Lebanon, by the way, went to the quarterfinals. Wael Rakji, who was the MVP of the tournament in 2022, was active, was on the roster, as we talked about in the previous show, did not play. So that's really interesting. We'll get into more of what went on in the tournament regardless. But that's sort of the pathway laying out how to get here. If there are any questions, comments in the chat, because I do see some people watching, feel free, leave them. Just, be cool is what I would say. Okay, let's go before. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's go into these games specifically now. So we're going to go through the actual quarterfinal performances, like a little more in depth, and then get into each team a little bit. So Australia's win over the Philippines, as we mentioned, as I mentioned, 84-60, not really entirely competitive. Australia has been getting really good play out of Jalen Galloway, who's averaging, I think, north of 17 points in this tournament so far. I'm not sure he's going to be MVP, but he all-tournament MVP conversation, perhaps. And if Australia ends up winning the gold, like he's somebody whose name you could throw in there for sure. Jack McVie, we mentioned coming into the tournament as somebody I thought he would contribute. And this is the thing with Australia, is they have depth, and they have like a number of different guys that could beat you on any given night in this tournament. Xavier Cooks, who's been a mainstay, like he is just a threat overall. He can finish, he can rebound. He's been bringing it as well. Will Magnay had a very nice dunk. Also, got a couple in this tournament so far, but one in particular that I'm thinking about from game one in the tournament. And unfortunately for the Philippines, just couldn't quite get enough. Dwight Ramos has had some moments in this tournament. He's been streaky. He was 1 for 11 from 3 in that game. He's made some heroic shots for the Philippines, but unfortunately not really enough. And a lot's been put on Justin Brownlee, who's really, really good still in his late 30s, but Justin Brownlee's in his late 30s. I know this because he was in college in the early 2010s and the late 2000s when I was watching him at St. John's. Really damn good player, but you need more. I know some Filipinos were like, hey, Kai Soto's not on the team. Maybe if they have Jordan Clarkson. And for whatever reason, Junmar Fajardo's just hasn't been great in this tournament. Which I've seen some Filipinos complain about, which I understand. It's kind of befuddling when you watch him play in just like non-international basketball when it's just like PBA. But it's weird. It's weird, but hey, it happened. Iran, Chinese Taipei. Iran's just mega comeback. Mohamed Amini, I mean, he made just 2 threes. It felt like more. One of these guys where every shot just feels like a dagger. Vahidi as well, Sita Vahidi as well, by the way. Just the creativity, just making key shots, getting into the lane, really figuring out different ways to bend the defense, combined for 51 of Iran's 78 points in this game. And Chinese Taipei just got worn down toward the end. The scoring from Iran's backcourt, wings, like it's just been outstanding. And Amini came off the bench. Amini came off the bench and got those 30 points. Also with the 11 rebounds. He has been just a force, and he's only 20 years old. That is very, very tantalizing to think about. Maybe more on him in the future. Chinese Taipei, I mean, they brought it. Hell of a tournament for them. I think the thing that they probably needed a little bit more was depth, just reliable depth, guys you can bring in off the bench and give you strong minutes in a game like this against a better team. But because you're seeing it here, just the level of production kind of drops off after a few guys. But Iran's also really good, and these tournaments are difficult. And when you go on a run like this, like it could just end in one game. China versus South Korea. Let's get into this. China is a team that I wasn't sure had heading into the tournament. I was like, man, I don't know. Like they are missing a good amount of dudes, but at the same time, they do perform well in these tournaments. You got to give credit where credit is due. And in this tournament, you've seen just overall in terms of depth, they've proven to be one of the deeper teams in this. Hu Jingku, who had 23 points in this game, he's been, I think, in totality, their best player. Double threat, leading rebounder so far, 23 and 11 in this game against South Korea. He's been really, really good. Just overall for this team. Junjae Wang had 21 in this game as well. China's got size, man. And that's one of the things that is going to help them. Like if they get to the finals, that could be an issue for Australia, perhaps. It's one of the only teams that I think could give Australia an issue, perhaps. Although, to be fair, Iran, I think, could in the semifinals. It's not going to be a cakewalk either. But China's good. China's definitely better than. Not that I said that they had a chance to win the tournament going into it, but they weren't. I wasn't sure if they were going to be better than some of these other teams that they've proven to be better than. Japan in particular, who I thought was kind of a flop in this tournament. I know they were missing some guys, but again, everybody's missing guys. Every single team. There's not a single team in the world in any of these tournaments that's bringing their best. From China to the United States in their tournament, to South Sudan, to Puerto Rico, doesn't matter. Cameroon, everybody's missing guys. So I just can't see that as an excuse. To the level that you're missing guys could be a thing, but if you're going to be a great national team, you have to have depth in that national team. It's not just about just winning the specific tournament and only winning when you have your best guys. No, you have to be able to win even when it's your quote unquote B team or C team. Australia did it in the last Asia Cup. Team USA can't seem to do it in their World Cup or in the America Cup for that matter. And lastly, we have New Zealand versus Lebanon. New Zealand, a team that I liked heading into this, a team that I thought could win. Jordan Natai is the captain. Doesn't have to lead a team in scoring. Leadership, a lot of caps, a lot of appearances for this team as well. Mojave King's one of the more talented guys on the roster. He's had his NBA cup of coffee. Flynn Cameron has been consistent. Max Darling has been, I think, one of the more, wasn't talked about enough probably heading into this. He's really proven he had a really good game against Lebanon, 18, 9, and 4. He was a beast inside. Also went out to spread the floor, make a three-pointer as well. And Taylor Britt, he didn't go crazy in this game, but he's been consistently he's been solid in this tournament as well. New Zealand's got a good team, man. They're another team that they're missing some guys, but they have a good team. And they've been playing really well. And Lebanon, got to give them some love. Again, Wael Arakji, again, listed, did not play. He had a shoulder injury heading into the tournament. He was declared, he was on the roster, but did not play. And if he were healthy, real healthy, I'm sure he would have. So this tells me that maybe they tried to give it a go. Maybe they felt like if they played long enough in the tournament, just maybe, but ultimately didn't give it a go. And I feel like if Wael Arakji is healthy going into the tournament, is healthy in the tournament, doesn't have the shoulder issue, then yeah, maybe Lebanon has a different outcome here. It's hard not to think that that's their best player, and they were up on New Zealand by 22, 23, 21 points, whatever it was. Lebanon is really like that was the MVP of the tournament last time. So that's basically where we're at with that. But otherwise, Deidre Lawson, hell of an addition he's been for this national team. 24-13, beast inside against New Zealand, who has a little bit of size. Ali Mansour, big shots, big shots in this game late against New Zealand. Ultimately, not enough. Lebanon's good. Good teams are going to lose in these tournaments before the medal. Like good teams are not going to make the medal stand. Happens every single FIBA tournament. Happens every FIFA tournament. Happens in all these tournaments. It just happens. Okay, let's go. Let's actually look at these stats real quick. So these are the leading scorers of this tournament so far. This is just in terms of points per game. So not accumulative. As mentioned, Muhammad Ali Abdul Rahman leading the tournament in scoring. Brandon Goodwin, who we talked about for Qatar coming into this. And Goodwin, I was saying, man, if he can lead them to a victory, like they could be dangerous for somebody in that knockout stage. But ultimately, they went 0-3. Weren't too far off in one instance, but ultimately did not get it done. They got blown out by Australia. They got blown out by South Korea. It was Lebanon. It was Lebanon where they lost by 4. That got dicey late. That got real dicey late. They had a big fourth quarter where they were up. Not up. They were they outscored them by 6 points, 29-23. But Brandon Goodwin, he did what he had to do in this tournament. So props to him. We also have Justin Brownlee here, Dar Tucker here, no surprises. Sina Vahidi, who we'll see from the Iranian national team. They're going to play Australia in the semifinals. He's in this top 10, top 7, 7th in scoring. That's really, really, really telling. We'll see if Australia really focuses in on him in this game. King, mentioned for New Zealand. He's been 2 thumbs up. He's been a monster. He's been great. He's also been efficient, 54% from the field, very, very effective. Also hitting threes consistently. He's taking 5 a game, and he's constantly he's making 45% so far. Obviously, a small sample size, 4 games, but this is what can swing a tournament, obviously. Mohammad Amini from Iran, 18 points a game so far, as mentioned. And again, 20 years old. I'm very curious to see what his professional career is going to be like moving forward. I'm not gonna go crazy in terms of like projections or anything like that. But hey, man, I do wonder if we start like actually hearing him as a serious draft guy. I know he declared for the draft this past year, but yeah, it's a name that I'm curious about coming away from this tournament. Jalen Galloway from Australia, we'll see him. Josh Hawkinson, who's been a staple for Japan's national team. He played, he showed out, he did what he had to do, but not enough. Dwight Ramos, mentioned earlier, he was forced to take a ton of shots, like a ton. So it was really a volume game with him. But these are your leading scorers so far in this tournament. Taylor Britt, Flynn Cameron in the top 20, New Zealand as well. You're going to be seeing them moving forward, so on and so forth. I won't go through every stat, but I am curious. Let's hit rebounds. Yeah, this is what I thought. This is about what I thought. So this is just straight up rebounds per game. Okay. Muhammad Al-Suwalim from Saudi Arabia. He had some big rebound performances in their brief stage. Joshua Hawkinson, as I mentioned, I thought if Japan went really far into this tournament, he could be an MVP candidate. Obviously, Japan did not, so he is not. Deidre Lawson is up here. Yeah, no surprises there. Okay, let's go team by team, and we will get out of here after that, unless, of course, the thing happens where I ramble for a certain amount of time, and then when I'm like, oh, I have like 15 minutes, and we start getting a bunch of questions, which I'm obviously not mad at. I would take that every single time. Anyway, Australia. So this is their team. I have the right screen up. Yeah, this is what we have here. What we're dealing with. Jalen Galloway. He's the sort of guy to watch. What he is good at, or what he's been good at so far in this tournament, is he's just making everything count. The efficiency is off the charts. He is 61% from the field so far, which is just ridiculous. From three, I don't know how sustainable is this, but you're seeing 70.6% just in totality. That's 12 of 17. So that's not nothing. It also means if you believe in law of averages, you might be a little nervous. Like, okay, what if he has a stretch here where he's 0 for 5 in this game, for example, and then from there, he can't really recover. That's what you kind of worry about with these dudes who are just red hot. He's also getting to the line consistently. He's hitting 86.7%. That could absolutely hold. He's been a good free throw shooter in this tournament. I think with Australia, again, the depth. You're not seeing this with every team in the tournament, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys who are giving you at least 8 points a game. You still have talent who's really not playing that much, like Dash Daniels, who's the brother of Dyson Daniels, NBA player, one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Dash Daniels is somebody who is not even playing much, for example, who could help this team, but he's also really, really young, and he's 17. And we'll see what his potential NBA draft prospects are in the future. But like, this is a guy that can help this team, for example, and is not really playing that much because they don't need him to, because they have so much depth, talent, experience, so on and so forth. Will Magnay, we mentioned the athleticism, the athletic dunk that he had from coast to coast. I would show that, but I'm not sure I'm going to get flagged. I might get flagged. FIBA's not exactly like they show these games on their app. You know what I mean? So maybe for a future video, but for this, we're just laying out like what's to come. Xavier Cooks also wanted to shout him out because Xavier Cooks is I would say even much better than what the numbers have indicated. But when it comes to tournaments like these, guys aren't gonna always get the super gaudy numbers if you're on a team that's deep. You have to fill a role. Jalen Galloway is probably more of an exception. But somebody had to sort of take the reins at the end of the day. You do have to have somebody who's going to, lead this team, so to speak. Galloway, by the way, has spent some time in the G League for people who are considered more so curious about maybe his NBA prospects because we've been talking him up so much. He's only 22. He'll be 23 in December. But he did have a two-way contract at one point with the Milwaukee Bucks. He did get waived. He played in the G League with Wisconsin. We'll see if he returns to the NBA at some point, but I do expect to hear more from him, absolutely. And also two-time NBL champion in Australia, which, yeah, that's really, really good stuff. But Australia is good, deep, all the things, and shooting the hell out of the ball right now as a team. You see here, bottom of the screen, they are 47% from the field. And this is the key thing. They're 40.5% from three on 29 attempts per game. 40-minute games, by the way, not 48-minute games, 40-minute games. Okay, so you're looking at north of 7 threes per quarter. They're hitting 40% of that. So every quarter, you're hitting roughly 3 threes, something along those lines. Yeah, 3 threes because you're hitting 12 a game. That's sick. It's really good shooting. They're also getting to the free throw line consistently 20 times, and they could be doing better from there. They're 73.8%. That's something to watch if the game gets close with Iran, which it could, late down the stretch, and we'll see if they can hit some key free throws. The other thing here is the size and just the activity on the glass. 51 rebounds per contest. We'll compare that to some of the other teams moving forward, and they're not turning the ball over a ton, 13 per game. It's not egregious, but Australia, 96 points per game as well. Just ridiculous stuff. Iran, let's get to them next. This is their opponent in the semifinals. Iran's on a hell of a run. Sina Vahidi, again, mentioned him plenty of times already, 19 points a game. It's also the efficiency, and it often is with these guys in these tournaments, in these short sample sizes. blistering hot right now. 52.8% from the field, very, very effective. He's giving them a much needed burst of creativity offensively, just juice on the ball, being able to get a shot up at important times of the game. Also consistent from three, 40%, 5 attempts per. Now, comparatively, they shoot about the same amount of threes as Australia does. They're making 2.5 per quarter, 10 per game, just under 36%. It's a big percentage gap between 40.5, 35.7, about 5 percentage points. So if that continues in favor of Australia, those 2 more threes that Australia makes per game, that could be a big difference. As it pertains to finishing and just shooting from the field, Australia, as we mentioned, 47%. Iran is at 44%. Again, it's not the end of the world. Things could level out over the course of the game, but just something to monitor moving forward. Australia, we know, is like talented, deeper, more experienced at this level, but Iran's solid, man. I think they have a lot of capabilities here. Rebounding is where this is going to get interesting, and a lot is going to be put on this man right here. Arsalan Kazemi, veteran, doing this for a long time. He has 11 rebounds per game in this tournament. But here's the thing. The team has 40. Australia, again, is giving you 50, 50.8 on the glass, boards per game. So 10 more rebounds. Iran is going to have to gang rebound. And one thing that will help also is just making shots. As best as they could. The playmaking, though, from Iran has also been there, roughly the same in assists per game, both are just a little bit under 20. And then the scoring punch obviously favors Australia by a good deal because of their athleticism. They're going to want to play fast. They're going to be comfortable rebounding, getting out and running. And that's the thing that Iran has to watch out for. Australia, they're going to attack the glass. They're going to be big. They're going to be physical. And they're going to get out and run. So Iran has to not get killed on rebounds, but also transition defense is going to be essential in this game, along with the other obvious things like the shooting and what have you. But transition defense is going to be very, very, very important. Let's see what we also have here. China going to play in the other semifinal game. Okay. China has, let's see, Jinhu, excuse me. Butchered that a couple different times. 17 points a game, 9 rebounds, and he's been their best player in this tournament so far, as mentioned. Rui, I think with China, size is going to be big here against New Zealand. New Zealand's also a physical team, similar to some of the traits we talked about with Australia. And I think the other thing to note here is, one second. I think the other thing to note here is that I don't think my mic is working. One second. Hold on. It's all right. We'll just power through and finish this. We're already deep into this. Who cares at this point? With China, I think the physicality is going to be important for them. The size, use it to their advantage. 48.5% from the field, 40% from three. Similar in terms of the percentage of Australia, for example. The volume's not quite there. They don't feel the need to take as many threes, but it's not far off. It's at 26 threes per game. You're looking at basically per quarter about 6.5, 7, not quite 7. Free throws, they're getting 20 a game, which is good. That's key. That's solid. Everyone seemingly is so far. New Zealand's the one that gets to the line more. We'll get to them in a second. China's rebounds per game, 40. I think potentially they can do a little bit better than that, but we'll see what happens in this matchup with New Zealand. The other thing that China's been doing well is just being efficient with these sort of attacks, and from 2, they're making 54%. That's, for comparison, better than Australia, better than Iran. Money from inside the paint so far. We'll go over to New Zealand now. Mojave King, mentioned him. Flint Cameron, Taylor Britt, and the consistency. 50% from the field is New Zealand so far in this tournament from the field. From 3, 38%, 33s per game. So they're getting them up more than anybody else left. Now, they're not making all of them. They're making 11. They're making fewer than Australia, for example. But I think with New Zealand in this game, it's not even just about like just getting the threes up, so to speak, because that could counterbalance China's maybe size and physicality. But they've done a good job of rebounding in this tournament so far, 46 rebounds per game. So New Zealand's offense has been really good. They're getting up threes. They're attacking. Like they, you could argue, maybe have the most diverse offense so far left. Just in terms of how they're getting, like they really stay true to threes, free throws. They're getting stuff inside the paint as well, but 33s a game, 25 free throws per game. And that's like a healthy portion of your offense. Make it 73% on free throws, but it is what it is. I think New Zealand, I think any of the, look, all 4 of these teams are good. All 4 of these teams can absolutely win this tournament. But only one's going to. That's kind of where we're at. And for me, it's like, to me, going into this, I just thought Australia was probably the best team, but it wouldn't stun me if they lost. I think Iran has the toughest matchup here. Like, I haven't looked at the odds since, the last like 2 hours because they weren't up when I checked. I'm almost certain Australia is going to be a bigger favorite. I think China would be favored over New Zealand, but I'm not even positive about that. I think that one's going to be really close. Australia would be favored to win the whole thing. They were like even money to win the whole thing before this whole thing started. And that's where we're at. So I think it's awesome. Tournament's been really good. FIBA Asia Cup's been really good. People should care about this stuff, as I often say. And I'll be away when the finals are going on, so I won't have a chance to recap it. Next time you'll hear from me on this channel will be next week. We'll be doing some AfroBasket and AmeriCup stuff, maybe some boxing. We'll see how it goes. But I think this tournament with Australia and Iran, I think Australia takes that, but I don't want to count out Iran. New Zealand and China is legitimately a toss-up for me. I would favor, you have to favor Australia to win the gold medal, but that's not a given at all. I think most people would probably say Australia 1, Iran 4, and then, whoever wins between China and New Zealand maybe drops it to Australia in the final. But we'll see, because Australia nearly lost the gold medal game to Lebanon 3 years ago. Nobody here winning would surprise me. And I don't think this Final Four is going to disappoint. I think we're in for a few more good games, and hopefully they'll be in the gold and bronze medal game as well. That's all we have. We'll be back next week on the channel. Enjoy the rest of the tournament if you've been watching, and subscribe.